Welcome to EDU World Space.
Problem 8.63. So we'd like to get some idea of just how impractical it gets to build a rocket when you want to use a rocket, if you were wanting to use a rocket to get to particularly high speeds. So we're told we have a rocket starting off from rest somewhere in deep space where there's no gravity to bother us. It has an exhaust velocity of 2,000 meters per second. And we want to know how much of the rocket can we get away with having not be fuel. So the initial mass, what fraction of that is not fuel? So that would be the final mass, because we're thinking about what is the speed after all of the fuel has been used. Here, if the final velocity is 1/1000th of the speed of light, which you can see is going to be, this is 300 million meters per second, so this would be 300,000 meters per second, and then 100 times less than that, 3,000 meters per second. So before we get to these numbers in particular, let's recall that the change in speed, which is just going to be the same thing as the final speed because the initial is 0 here, is equal to the negative of the exhaust velocity times the natural logarithm of the ratio of the final mass to the initial mass. And so this is the mass of the rocket itself plus the fuel, and this is the mass of just the rocket without any fuel in it. So this ratio right here is exactly what we want to find. So doing a little bit of quick algebra, we get that the thing we're interested in is e to the negative delta V over the exhaust. Good. So A here, delta V, is 1/1000th the speed of light. Turns out we're probably in trouble because the fraction of the mass of the rocket that's allowed to be anything besides fuel is 7.96 times 10 to the negative 66th is what I got. So this is probably not going to work. This is also assuming that you're launching this from somewhere where the effects of gravity from any large object is negligible. If you wanted to get off the Earth and directly get up to 1,000th of the speed of light, this just gets even worse. So hopefully, if you're friendly with the exponential function, you know that its value changes a whole lot. It gets really small if you have a negative exponential. After this gets even slightly large. So with this being 100 times less, maybe the math won't work out to be quite so depressing. And indeed, this does turn out to be the case, because we find that the mass that can be anything besides fuel is 22.3%. So So if all you want to do is get up to 3 kilometers per second, about not, a little less than a quarter of the mass can be the rocket itself and whatever you want to be putting on it, and then the other 80-ish, 80-ish% is going to be the fuel, which is much more reasonable. And so if you wanted to figure out, for this, I mean, if you wanted to have 1 kilogram worth of rocket and possibly stuff on it, it's going to take a ridiculous amount of fuel. Whereas here, if you want 1 kilogram of rocket and stuff on it, you could easily get it up to 3,000 meters per second, because you're definitely going to need a few kilograms of fuel to do that.